So I can honestly say that eXp Realty has had a significant impact on my life and tons of other agents' lives that I know. So in this video, you're going to hear from Traci Lewis and Dave Gagnon. They have been with eXp Realty for over 5 years now, and their lives and their businesses are significantly different today than they used to be. So my business partner, Pat Hayes, is going to interview them. They're going to share all the golden nuggets. They're going to share the struggles, the challenges that they've had with other businesses, making the transition into eXp Realty, and how you can build a big organization within the company as well. So I hope you enjoy the interview.
Let me just introduce my special guest and my sponsor. So whenever I met Traci Guinness over 6 years ago, I had never, I never knew Traci, and we had never done a deal together because I was just 2 years in real estate. I only had 2 years of real estate experience, so we had never done a deal together. And whenever I got the life-changing phone call to hear about eXp, I was just absolutely blown away with her resume, with what she has done in her real estate career. And guys, she's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And she's got an amazing story from coming from a school teacher, not making a lot of money and just crushing it in real estate. And so here's just a little bit about her real quick, and then I'll introduce her. So Traci specializes in helping realtors increase their personal production and prosperity by using powerful lead generation tools provided by eXp Realty. Previously, Traci owned one of the largest Century 21 offices in the world and has trained over 1,000 agents. She was Keller Williams' #1 recruiter globally in 2012. Traci is an author of several books and has been featured on many radio and TV shows, including Flip This House, CNBC, Power Lunch, and the Success Radio Network. So without further ado, my good friend, my sponsor, my mentor, Traci Lewis, and also we have Dave Gagnon as well too, who's got an incredible story. And if it wasn't for Dave, I wouldn't be where I'm at either, because I learned so much from Dave my first year or two at eXp with learning how to grow this business. And so I want him to share some success stories as well too. But let's start with Traci. So Traci and Dave, welcome to the call. How are you guys doing this morning?
Oh, so excited to be here. Thank you. This is the biggest thrill in the whole wide world. And Pat, congratulations on your success and your leadership. And I am blessed beyond measure to have you in my organization. And speaking of the stock, so when we joined the company, the stock was very different. When you recruited an agent, you got 1,000 shares of stock. And I only got 1,000 shares of stock on one agent. And guess who that was? Pat Hayes. Woo! So that my one recruit, Hayes, has given me as of yesterday $100,000 just in stock alone, and Pat is well over half of my revenue share organization. So I tell people all the time, Pat, if it wasn't for you, I would still be selling real estate. So everybody is one phone call away from total and complete financial freedom. And so I'm just blessed beyond measure to be working with you, Pat.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for those kind words. And if it wasn't for you and Dave, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't be able to say I'm getting ready to hit 3,000 agents in my revenue share organization today, because I learned so much from you guys. And again, I didn't have the experience. I wasn't a big recruiter. I was at a small independent brokerage firm where, yes, I helped them grow, but I learned so much from you guys. And Traci got me out of my comfort zone to help me start doing these presentations. And, that's why I'm still doing the Lunch and Learn still to this day. We're going to be doing it today, Friday. And, it's my Freedom Fridays. And so she got me out of my comfort zone to help me start doing the presentations. Guys, whenever we first joined, we had to make up our own presentation. We didn't have a corporate slide deck. We didn't have corporate videos. And so she taught me, I'll never forget this, at the Dominion Country Club here in San Antonio. She pulled me out of my chair and said, "Hey, you're going to help me do this presentation." I was sick to my stomach. I didn't know what I was going to say, what I was going to do. And I had butterflies, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. And you know what? Hey, I failed and learned from it, right? I learned from it. And she, time and time again, she pulled me away and said, "Hey, do the presentation with me. Let's do this." And so I just want to say thanks for your leadership, because you know what? If it wasn't for you pulling me away and pulling me out of my comfort zone and showing me how to do this and showing me how to present the right way and learning the material, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So for those of you on this call, I just want you to learn from that. Just step out of your comfort zone and take it to the next level. If you're afraid to call that one agent, you never know. That one agent could make you $1 million. You never know, that one agent could, eventually be half of your revenue share organization or whatever it is, right? So just, get out of your comfort zone. But, Traci, just for those of you that don't know Traci, she's got an amazing resume, and just kind of tell us the Cliff Note version about your resume. I know you've got a ton of experience in selling real estate and also attracting agents. And, you've been through the ups and downs, and you were in corporate America, as a school teacher, and, left that to give up your career and start your career in real estate. And it's been a game changer ever since. So just tell the group just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, as Pat said, I was a school teacher, and I'd always been poor. I was raised really poor, the whole 9 yards. And so when I was introduced, when I bought my first house, my real estate agent was a ding dong, for lack of a more polite term, and she made more money on that one transaction. And I bought a $120,000 house, right? But she made more money than I made in an entire month. And I thought, well, if she can do this, I can too. So I cashed in my teacher retirement, and teachers are paid 2 months in arrears. So I basically had 4 months salary, and I didn't make any money at all. My first 4 months, my 5th month, I made $523. My 6th month, I made $12,000. I finished that year at over $72,000. And my average sales price at the time was $75,000. So you can do the numbers. But to go from making $30,000 to $72,000, and I was paying about 23% in taxes as a teacher. Well, thanks to all the tax deductions you get. As a real estate agent, I paid 9% taxes. So I was just rolling in money. And I did that for a couple of years, opened up my own brokerage. That brokerage bled money. For the first 2.5 years, I lost more than $250,000. And then learned some new strategies, started doing things very differently, and grew that to be the 4th largest Century 21 office in the nation. And sold that 6 weeks before the market crashed, by the grace of God. So I watched all of my fellow franchisee owners lose everything that they had. The gentleman that owned the #1 Century 21 office in the nation, on the globe, Jim Day, went from making millions of dollars a year to owing millions of dollars a year. And Century 21 sued him for many millions of dollars whenever the Las Vegas market crashed. So as we've gone through the past year, and I've seen so many of my fellow real estate company owners go through the exact same pain, I'm just baffled why anybody on earth would buy a franchise. It's just such a losing proposition. Last month I made about $147,000 in 1 month, and my overhead is $85 a month and the cost of my cell phone. And Dave and I work a 3-day work week. Well, he works 3 days. I work about 15 hours a week. And we're able to maintain an incredible lifestyle. And it's not that we're doing anything differently than we did with our previous real estate companies. It's just very simply a better model. So that's the Reader's Digest version. I will say, when Pat was first approached with the XP, he politely said no. I politely said no too, just because I was on that hamster wheel. I made $400,000 that year as a real estate agent, but it was always get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money, get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah. And as Pat mentioned, I was Recruiter of the Year globally for Keller Williams, and I never even saw a check for $3,000 a month. A lot of months it was $129. Some months it's $86, So the profit share model didn't work either. So when I saw EXP and I heard about a similar model, I just had no interest. But when I ran my numbers that I would have made from Keller Williams through the EXP model, it was about 19-1, and I cried. And I knew that whether I wanted to move or not, I had to, because it would just be financially irresponsible if I didn't. And thank goodness I didn't. I got the stock, my first stock award, at 64 cents a share.
Woo!
And life is very different. So
love it. That is awesome. And I love that story right there. And so I've got a question for the both of you guys. How amazing is it to live on the beaches in Florida?
More important. So she loves living on the beach. I love playing golf on the beach.
There you go. The best of both worlds right there. But so David, let me introduce you real quick, guys. If you don't know who Dave Gagnon is, he was, kind of one of my first mentors as well whenever I first joined EXP, because he did work for corporate, and, he helped all the brokers, with agent attraction and leadership meetings. And my dad and I would go to the Wednesday meeting, every single Wednesday, and hear the tips and tricks and stories that Dave was helping give all these brokers to start helping us grow. Right. And so I remember just plugging in and just learning from his stories and he's got some amazing, knowledge when it comes to agent attraction and all the different types of brokerages. And, he would lay all the different models out and explain the differences between, Century 21 and Coldwell Banker and Remax and Keller Williams versus EXP. And it was just absolutely amazing. And so I literally just latched on to him and just started doing exactly what he was doing, just sharing and doing exactly what I was learning from him. So first off, Dave, I just want to say thanks so much for your leadership, because I always tell you, if it wasn't for you as well, I wouldn't have grown as fast as I did. So I know Dave's got an amazing story, and Jason Gessing, gave him a life-changing phone call many years ago, and it's forever changed his life. And he was also at that other great company called Keller Williams, and he was growing like crazy over there and wasn't really looking to make a change. And I believe he said no a few times. Then finally, Jason called him back and said, "Hey, let's do this." So Dave, without further ado, tell the group, we've got over 73 EXP agents and a lot of guests here on the line. So just tell us your Cliff Note version of your story and your background to the group, because it's an amazing story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And first of all, Pat, you changed my life too, because having you come into those meetings, you brought so much energy. I always thought of you like that Labrador puppy that would come in tail wagging, all excited, and you would get me excited. So, and then to see your success, really, you are one of the reasons why I went to corporate at a point and said, I don't want to be the director of growth anymore. I want to personally do what others are doing. And I knew that I was sharing a lot and helping a lot, and it was time to do the same for me and my family. And so I didn't want to step out of the role, but it was an easy decision to know how much money was there. So first of all, yeah, Jason called me. He saw what I had been doing to build 7 offices with KW. He asked if I wanted to be involved and help EXP grow in New England. And I told him, nope, things are going great. I'm never going to leave, blah, blah, blah. And we politely parted ways. He called me back 6 months later, and he said, Dave, look, I'm not a recruiter. You're obviously very successful. What would you say to someone that wasn't open-minded, that you wanted to be in business with, and you knew that it could be a game changer, but they just weren't willing to listen? And I thought for a minute, and I said, well, I would tell them that it would be fiscally irresponsible to say yes or no to any opportunity without fully understanding it. And then there was silence on the line, and Jason said, yeah, that. And so I closed myself for a meeting. I agreed to 15 minutes at a Panera, which was halfway between where he lived and I lived. And I went for 7 o'clock so I could feed my kids, do the meeting, be back home before they went to bed. The meeting turned into 2.5 hours, and I resigned from a salaried position with good bonuses at Keller Williams to come to EXP the next day. And we weren't even open in the state where I held my license, so I couldn't even officially join. I had to help recruit the state broker, help get the state open before I could hang my license, before I could do my first thing. So that's number one. So if someone tells you no, get them into an open-minded position. And I think that script worked very, very well. Number two, I had a full-time responsibility to the company, and so I could not do a lot of recruiting. And we weren't open in most of the states that I knew anybody, so I couldn't do any recruiting. So my first full year of attraction, I only brought in 3 directs. My entire organization was 3. So some people watching this may feel disappointed that they've been here for a period of time and not having the success that they want to hear, like hearing Mike having 190 days, right? And congratulations, Mike, that's rock star. And so I did 3 in my first year. My second year, I added 1 more, and I had a total of 11, right? And so many of you are there much sooner than 2.5 years. I stepped out of the role shortly after that. And so I had 25 people in April. I ended at 179. The next year, 661. The next year, 2,200. The next year, almost 3,300. And here we are today. And so the key is having perseverance, learning good scripts and dialogue, learning good tactics and strategies, and focusing every day a period of time, even if you have a full-time commitment to something else like listing and selling houses, right? And so if you make agent attraction part of what you do all the time, and it's always on your mind, you will find people to talk to. You'll get good at having people become more open-minded, and then you getting them into a position to connect them with learning the opportunity and getting a three-way edification call set up so we can help you help them make the best decision of their life, right? And so this opportunity is amazing. I was with Keller Williams for 7 years and very successful. They don't publish my name on the list anymore because I'm vested retired and they stopped doing that. But the last list I saw, I was number 550 ever at Keller Williams in earnings. And so I think that validates that I know that system pretty well. And so after 7 years of actively working that system and another 7.5 years of all those team leaders in all those market centers helping to grow my downline through their system, I make about $30,000 a year from that system. And that is wonderful. Before I heard about EXP, that was the best thing in the industry. And so if someone's not going to be at EXP, they should be at Keller Williams. However, after 7 years at EXP, my check today is 90,000. Last month was 102. And for the last 5 or 6 months, I've averaged about 85. And so I'm on a run rate to make over $1 million here and a run rate to make 30,000 at Keller Williams this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of both of those accomplishments. But if I were going to work one more hour in my life, I would work in this environment instead of that environment.
Wow. That is huge. Those are great numbers right there, guys. And again, it's not just me. It's not just my success. It's not just Traci's. Dave's having some massive, massive success. And he's taking massive action and growing like crazy. And so, I've got a question for the both of you guys, and then we'll kind of open it up for some Q&A for the group here. We got 75 agents on. This is awesome. I love it. And, I respect y'all's knowledge as well, too. And so where do you guys see eXp Realty, in the next 3 to 5 years? I'm just kind of curious, how big do you think eXp is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Do you want to take it or
I'll
me?
let you take that one.
Well, so when I became the director of growth about 7.5 years ago, I laid out my 5-year forecast. And I was told that I was way off the mark and crazy, but we've hit those metrics. And so the numbers that I'll share with you, I feel very confident about, but I'm going to give you this. Don't buy stock based on what I'm going to say. Okay. So since we spoke of stock in this conversation, I just want to separate the two, right? This is just little old Dave's growth brain thinking about stuff, right? And so once I started building my organization, I've been about 8% of the company size fairly consistently for the last 3 years. And my units growth rate has mirrored that, and it can't do it forever. Now I have more people coming in at my line 8 and below than are coming in on my line, right? So that percentage will diminish as to the company size, but continue at about the same rate that we've been doing. And so I always run the forecasting numbers. And so, EXP starts this year at about 43,000. I believe it'll be in the 60 to 70,000 agent count by the end of this year in the US. Now, globally, you guys are seeing, that we were in Canada, which will become part of global. We're a few thousand agents there. And the other countries are having wonderful success early, but not enough time for the compounding success yet, right? I think that, and I may be delusional, but I think that we'll add somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 plus globally this year, bringing us close to 85, maybe 100,000 globally. I also believe that this will be the last year that the US market is larger than the global market. There's just too many countries and too many additional leaders available in the world for us to keep pace with it with the limited market that we have here. And by limited, it's only 2 million realtors for us to talk to here. And we're 43,000, right? We've got a long way to go and a lot of growth that can happen when you factor in all of the leaders that are available across the globe and how fast Michael Valdez's group is unlocking those for us. I think that we'll be scaring 80 to 100,000 globally by the end of the year. And then I think it's game over after that. You asked 3 to 5 years, we'll be 500,000 in that 3 to 5 year range. And there are many people who are not even in the company yet who will be out earning Pat and Tracy and I and the others in that 3 to 5 year period. And so, you know, get your fair share, take care of your business, take care of your family, and don't forget to take care of your future by putting a little bit of time in every day and create as much massive leverage as you can.
Love it. Love it. Hey, and I totally agree with you. And I think that, you know, we'll be at 500,000 agents, you know, or more, you know, within just a few years right there. And then also good news too. I'm not sure if you guys noticed on Workplace that Jason and Dave Kennord and Michael Valdez, they announced, I believe it was yesterday, that EXP is going to be, they're going to be building and launching in March an EXP global enterprise. And so we'll be able to see all of our agents in our back office in other countries. And then the system is going to, you know, kind of calculate the rev share in their currencies. And then at the end of the month, it'll calculate into our currency, which is the US dollar right there. So that's super good news. I'm super excited about that because I've been getting a lot of messages about when we're going to be able to see other agents, you know, like, for example, I've got agents in Australia that have been on board with us for over a year. I don't see them. I don't see them in my enterprise. And so that's what they're building right now, is a global enterprise for all of us. And so absolutely amazing news right there. And so good stuff. All right, guys. Well, hey, I know we just have, you know, a few minutes here, but I want to open it up to the whole group here. We've got 74 agents here that are still on the call, and I respect everybody's time. And thank you guys so much for coming. But who has a quick question for Tracy or Dave? So don't be shy. Open it up. Turn on those cameras. I want to see those lovely faces because they have a wealth of knowledge between them two and a ton of experience. And so if you guys have a question, let's ask him right now. So who's got a question for Tracy or Dave? Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yep. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hey, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate your time. What you guys are sharing is incredible and super inspiring. And my question is, what was the biggest pitfall and struggle you had, you know, in the early stages of you growing your team, what it is now, and how you overcome that?
Well, you know, for me, when I started making phone calls, and to this day, you know, we're all looking for a silver bullet, but nothing has worked as well for me as picking up the phone and making phone calls. And I would call people and I would be like, I'm Tracy with eXp Realty. And they'd be like, oh, Exit Realty. No, eXp. Oh, ESP Realty. No. I mean, no one had ever heard of us. So I would get the objection all the time, well, I don't want to join your company because nobody's ever heard of you, right? And now the objection that some people are hearing is, well, I don't want to join the company because everybody's heard of you. So it's like, okay, where's the happy medium, right? But the truth of the matter was just always balancing. I mean, how much time am I going to spend in my traditional real estate business and how much time am I going to spend active recruiting? So I worked my traditional real estate business until my revenue share hit $500,000 a year. I was just very committed to having that stability. And I think that's a mistake a lot of agents make, is that they don't divide their time properly. I think the best ratio is to use the proverbial 80-20, you know, spend 80% of your time building your real estate business, 20% of your time recruiting real estate agents, and the two very simply feed each other very, very nicely. The other thing, Jordan, is that, you know, I wanted to try and do it my way instead of the way that was tried and true and worked. So Dave, as Pat mentioned, Dave did weekly calls every single week. And I learned those scripts, and I learned the scripts that were actively working, recruiting EXP agents. And when I changed the scripts to what was tried and true and working for other people, my success absolutely skyrocketed. The other thing is the follow-up email that we send to every single agent that we have a conversation with. I'll make sure that gets put in influencers if it's not, or not influencers, in the team disruptors group. It's a follow-up email that goes out to every single person that gives them a lot of links that they can go and check and do their due diligence. We use CRM Grow, which is is just a brilliant follow-up system, puts all of that on autopilot. So really, it's like anything else. Most agents say no initially the first time they hear it, and they say yes the second or third time. We're seeing those numbers drop. Right now, I'm getting phone calls right and left from people that looked at it back in 2015 and 2016, and all I hear is, gee, I wish I'd listened then, but I'm ready to join now. So it's not no, it's just not now. I first heard about Keller Williams. I'd never heard of Keller Williams until I got into real estate, and I got into real estate in 1997. I was first initially tried to be recruited into Keller Williams in 1998, and I didn't join them until 2012. So it took me a long time to come to that party, but whenever I did, I was recruiter of the year globally. So just stick with the process and remember that we are saving real estate's lives. I think Pat Hayes is the first person that I ever heard say, if you had the cure to cancer, would you tell everybody that has cancer about the cure that you have? And I believe that we have the cure for real estate agents to give them lifelong freedom and prosperity. And I believe that we have a duty and an obligation to share it with everybody and then let them make their own decisions. So,
love it.
Question.
Love it. Great answer. Great answer.
So I'm going to give it from a different perspective in that I've worked with a lot of people who have struggled to get going, right? And the number one reason why they struggle to get going is actually two pieces. One is their own personal credibility, right? If they never show up to their local board, or if when they do deals they act like a butthead, or whatever it is, or maybe they're brand spanking new or whatever, right? So it might be a credibility issue, and you can improve that in one day just by showing up and being wonderful and contributing with whatever you have. But the number one reason for people who could have instant success to not have instant success is they get in their head, right? It's like their ego drives their work ethic, in that I don't want to call the most influential person I know because I want to speak about it in a professional way, because I'm concerned about how they're going to think of me. And Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. And I agree with that. And so you need to get out of your head. You need to open up their heart, open up their vision, and get them connected with someone that you believe is going to tell the story in a way that's going to make you look good, right? And so it's okay to say, I just started working on the expansion, and I am partnering with a master, Mr. Pat Hayes. He has done amazing things, over 3,000 people in his group, multi-nation expansion, and he had zero experience doing it. And he is going to show you how to do the exact same thing. I'm looking at his calendar right now, and believe it or not, he is available at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and I can book it right now before it's gone. Can you move stuff around right now so I can book that? You're gonna love this guy.
Yes, love it.
Incredible. Yeah,
love it. That's great. Great response there, Dave. See, I tell you, this is these nuggets are just absolutely amazing. All right, so we've got a few more minutes here. Who else has got a question for Traci or Dave?
Hey, Dave. Hello, Dean from Calgary.
Hey, Dean, go ahead.
What's your lead-in question? Like, a lot of agents know about EXP. They know you're from there, and they've probably heard of EXP or looked at it before. What's your lead-in question to see if they're open to take another look?
So just to understand the question, that they've already heard about it and said no.
Well, in our city, there's half the agents seem to have said, yeah, I've seen that, not interested.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
How do you transition, or what's even your first question even to get to that, that state? What's your lead?
Yeah. So when someone says that, I always say, interesting. What was the reason that you didn't like the model? And they either won't know, or whatever they say isn't the truth, right? So whoever presented it mucked it up,
right?
And so that's true 99% of the time, right? Now they may be in a position where they're locked into a long-term contract, like a franchise, or, you know, someone very significant in their life, like their mommy or daddy owns the brokerage, or something like that, right? Or they may be very, very fearful and, you know, not be willing to look at something. But in all the other cases, whatever they say, what I would do is say, well, that's very interesting. Let me ask you a question. If that wasn't the whole truth, would you be open-minded enough to hear the actual facts before making a final decision? Right? And if they are, then I would show them with whatever their thought isn't a fact, right? And every person I've ever talked to who wasn't interested in the model actually did not fully understand the model, right? Yep. If they're productive and they are self-sufficient in real estate and they can understand math, they will be here.
I agree.
Okay?
So, yeah, well, that's awesome. So to get to that question, though, the lead-in question, I guess that's my real question is how are you introducing it?
Well, so for me, I rarely cold call, right? I always want to know who I'm calling first, right? So I'll look them up on Facebook or their web page or whatever, and find something that I find a compelling reason, right? Because I think my time is valuable. I don't want to call and waste my time. And so if I were calling Traci and I saw that she was running the #1 luxury team or had run a very successful business, I would call and give her that compliment. Hey, Traci, I know you don't know me. This is Dave Gagnon from eXp Realty. The reason why I'm calling is I was just looking at your website and I see that you've been Miss Everything and Miss Superstar and Rockstar. And I just wanted to say congratulations on all of that success in your real estate career. The reason for my call is I am looking for leaders like you, and I don't want to waste your time, and it may not be for you, but are you open-minded enough to give me 5 minutes for me to give you a quick elevator pitch on what the concept is?
Perfect. Love it. That's awesome.
My opening line is a little bit different. And like Dave, I don't make cold calls anymore either. So that helps a whole lot. But my question is just very simply, you know, hey, Pat, Traci here with eXp Realty. I'm curious, how much do you already know about eXp? And 9 times out of 10, they go, well, you know, there's stock and like, and you get like money for recruiting people. Well, that's really about all I know. I mean, it's kind of the same line every single time. Right. So that gives you the opportunity to ask the follow-up questions, you know. So it just really depends on the relationship that you have with people. It really does. The good news is that right now, I mean, eXp is all over the place from Inman to Facebook. And so, you know, and Jim Cramer's Mad Money. So it's a much easier conversation now than it ever was before. That's for sure.
I totally agree. Yep. You know, whenever Traci and I were first growing here in San Antonio, yeah, you know, we would make calls to our, you know, our agents that, you know, we knew and said, hey, I just made the transition over to eXp. And they're like, who, what, who's that? I've never heard of that. Right. And, you know, now, you know, agents are reaching back out to us, just like, you know, agents are reaching back out to, you know, Traci and Dave as well, too, who we reached out to whenever we first joined in 2015, 2016. And they're going, wow, you know, I've been watching you guys. You know, agents are watching us, guys. And I tell this all the time. They may not like your post. They may not share your post. They may not, you know, comment on your post about eXp, you know, whatever you're sharing. You know, and you guys need to be doing that. If you're not sharing, you know, the eXp news that is being published by eXp, you know, you need to start doing that because agents are following you. Agents are watching your success without you guys even knowing it. And if you're sharing that stuff, that they're looking at it, they you know, that's powerful, right? It's a great way to, you know, attract agents is on social media. You know, I attract a lot of agents on social media too. And they finally reach back out saying, oh my God, I've been watching you guys. I've been following you on Facebook. I've been watching your growth. Dang it. I should have, you know, took more action with that call whenever you called me back in 2015 or whenever you called me in 2016 or even, you know, last year. They're like, wow, you know what? You guys are just, your stock's exploding. Your agent count is growing. You know, I hear the success that, you know, that you're having. I've taken more action. I should have taken that call a little bit more serious whenever you called me. And I should have been a little bit more open-minded. And so guys, hey, those agents may say no. that no means not right now. Not right now. They will eventually call you back, like they're calling me back, like they're calling Traci back, like they're calling Dave back. They know that they need to be here. And just like what Ian Flanagan always says, they're all coming. They just don't know it yet. They're all coming. They just don't know it yet. So that is awesome. And Heather, I just saw your question in the text chat. Yes, Ian is recording this. And so we've got a lot of knowledge here. So we'll definitely, put it back in Team Disruptor as well too. So it's almost 9:50 or so here Central Time. We've got another another 2 or 3 more minutes. We've got another time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Who's got a question for Traci or Dave? And then we'll let everybody go get another cup of coffee and go to leadership. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one quick thing that kind of piggyback off what you guys are saying is that I think the follow-up and the nurturing of adding these people on social is so important because there's a guy looking to join us. He was actually the top 30 under 30 agent at KW in North America last year, and he drank the Kool-Aid like nobody else. And but at some point, usually their broker does something that pisses them off or doesn't allow them to achieve what they're looking to in the future. So I talked with this guy for 6 months straight. He's one of my good friends. And yesterday he reached out. He's like, Mike, I sent your video to my dad. I went through it. I need to have a talk with you tomorrow. My broker's doing shit that's pissing me off. And it's the time has come. And it's just been, again, it's not now. Once they start seeing when you guys start to share the stock going up on your Facebook, on your Instagram stories, facts tell, stories sell. Share stories like Traci, like Pat, like all of these people have had. And that's what's really going to bring them over the edge.
Love it. Love it, guys. It's so true. So true.
Hey, can I give a story on that too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just had a kind of an introductory discovery call with an agent a couple of days ago. And she's over with Keller Williams up in the DC area. Big producer and everything. That's about 6.5 million, 7 million a year. And she said, just want to talk to you, learn a little more, but I'm happy where I'm at. Not really looking to make a move anytime, but, interested in learning about it. And so we chatted and, I said, well, hey, I appreciate your time and everything. It's been great chatting with you, learning about your business and everything. Would you mind if I just did a pro forma comparison of how much you're netting at KW versus what EXP would look like? And she said, sure. So I asked her all the questions, production, number of units, all that, and sent it back to her. And then she emailed back and said, hey, will you send us my personal address? And then she emailed me back and said, hey, let's chat next week. So it was a huge, huge difference, and that just really opened her eyes, actually putting the numbers to paper side by side. So, if you get anybody that's really not interested and is pushing back on you, make sure you put together some kind of spreadsheet comparison if they're willing to share their numbers.
Very true. Yep.
Yeah.
Numbers
yeah. Pat, this is Smarty. Just to reiterate on top of what Chris just said, I just did that to another one that I'm hooking you up with, Pat. Connor's been talking to you. This guy, Dan at Caldwell, I sent him on New Year's Eve, hey, Dan, Happy New Year. You left $102,000 on the table in 2020 based on your production. Do you want to repeat that in 21? It took him a nanosecond to respond to me and say, when can we get on a Zoom? I got to talk. And here's a guy that's been pushing me off for 6 months. I love where I'm at. Now money talks. So now you'll be talking to him hopefully in the next couple of days, Pat.
Yep.
He wants to talk to you. So
love it. Hey, I'm here to help. And that's huge. Yeah. And it kind of same with me too. Whenever I met Traci, we were talking about the splits and the caps at EXP. And I was at this boutique brokerage firm, their number one agent, out of 65 agents. In that last year that I was there in 2015, I had paid them $56,000 for my cap because they never let me get to 100%. And so I saw at EXP that it was an 80-20 split, $16,000 cap. Right off the bat, I'm like, I'm making a shit ton more money just by transitioning over from my boutique brokerage from over to EXP, just right off the bat, not even including the stock, not even including the revenue share, right? And so whenever I saw that, that sold me right there because I knew just by making the switch and doing the exact same thing, I was going to make more money. And then all I had to do was plug into, what Gene Frederick and Rob Flick and what Traci Lewis, we're doing, and then start learning from Dave about how to attract agents to the model and start building a revenue share organization. And I never forget my first check. I joined December of 2015. My first revenue share check was February of 2016. It was $67.99. I'll never forget. I got that check. I called Traci and said, holy shit, this is real. You are right. This is real, right? So it starts somewhere. It starts somewhere, right? You just got to get out of that comfort zone and take massive action. And don't be afraid to go pick up the phone and call that agent, because you never know. That one agent could change your life. Like Sheila Fejeron picked up the phone and called Brent Gove. That one agent, Brent Gove, changed her life. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. So guys, don't be afraid. We are all here to help you. You have so much support. You know, don't feel like you have to be the professional presenter. Be a professional inviter. Be a professional inviter. I'll never forget some of our first lunch and learns here in San Antonio that Traci and I were doing. We had 0 people show up, but we still did the presentation to get better at it. Traci still made me do the first part. She did the second part. The second time I did the second part, she did the first part, right? We switched roles. And then one time we had one agent and we still did the presentation, and that agent joined. And then we had another agent helping us invite. And then the next Friday, you know, or the next Wednesday, we were doing them on Wednesdays back then. Then we had 4 agents, right? And then we had 10 agents, and it started growing to 20 agents, and then to 50 agents. And then, you know, before, you know, the pandemic with COVID, you know, at my luncheon, we used to have 80, 85 agents show up, right? And so it's not an overnight success, but you've got to start somewhere and just get out of that comfort zone and do it. And I just want to say, Traci, thank you so much for doing that for me, because you know what? I didn't know how to present EXP. I didn't know what I was doing, but I followed your lead and I was open to learning. I was open to learning, and thank goodness I did, because now, hopefully today on Friday, I can get to hit 3,000 agents in my revenue share organization. Who wants 3,000 agents? Absolutely. I want every single one of you guys to hit 3,000 agents in your revenue share organization, because that is life changing. And again, remember guys, you know, for all of us at EXP, we have chosen to be at the best brokerage firm a realtor can be at. Now let's take advantage of it. If you're not wanting to grow, say, hey, you got to put in some blood, sweat, and tears. You know, I did it for my first 2 years. I was selling real estate, just like Traci said. I was selling real estate full time, and I was doing agent attraction full time. I did it for 2 years straight. Now I can say as a realtor, I've got time freedom and financial freedom. I'm still selling real estate, but I don't have to sell my $13 million a year every single year to afford my lifestyle, right? I've got the revenue share that's building. I set the foundation, and now it's exploding on its own. I have almost 178 agents joining my revenue share organization now every 30 days. Every 30 days. That's life-changing right there, right? And we're all here to help you out, guys. And so, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we've got leadership here in about 5 minutes or so, so go get a cup of coffee, go use the restroom, go to leadership. After leadership, I'm going to my Friday lunch learn. For those of you here in San Antonio, call me, text me, message me on Facebook, message me on Workplace. 12 p.m. Stoneworks at the Vineyard, Blanco 1604. Bring a guest. Come and show up if you're new and you're on the call and you've never been to a lunch learn. If I've never met you, come and introduce yourself. I want to meet you. And Traci and Dave, I just want to say thanks so much for your knowledge, for your time today. You guys are so inspiring. And Traci, thanks again for everything, because you have completely changed my life and my family's life. And I love you forever for that. And Dave, thanks so much for being a true leader back in the day whenever we were growing like crazy and we didn't really know what to do or how to do it. And we were in the weeds, and you took us all to a next level. You took the brokers to the next level with your knowledge and with your expertise. And I just forever thank you for that as well, too, because if it wasn't for the both of you guys, I wouldn't be here right now sitting at almost 3,000 agents in my RevShare group.
Thank you, Pat. Love you so much.
Love you guys. Hey, thanks so much. You guys have a great weekend. This is being recorded. Ian's going to send it over to me whenever he gets done editing it, and then I will post it in Team Disruptor, and you guys can archive it. You guys can keep it. You guys can send it out, listen to it again. There's a lot of awesome nuggets that were dropped today, a lot of golden bombs, and I love it. So that's why we do this, and we will see you again next Friday. I'll post who our next special guest is mid next week in Team Disruptor, and let's have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. And thanks for joining us. And you guys have a blessed weekend. Love you guys. Take care. We'll see you next Friday.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Great call, guys. I appreciate it.